And if it looks like that we might be close to that, and we know that the rapture comes before that, how close is the rapture? Are you ready here this morning? I hope so. If you're not, you need to get ready. There's no time. Are you right with God here this morning? If you're not, you need to get right with God here this morning because there's no time. This one world economy that will come together after the rapture of the church will be brought to the global financial table, as it were, by the Antichrist when he's revealed. He'll reveal this world peace plan, and it'll include the financial security. Now, here's a thought, and I don't know how many of you have thought through this, but think about this. After the rapture, there's going to be this newfound prosperity left behind by the Christians who are now finally out of their way. Let me say that same thing a little bit differently. Where does your house go after your rapture? You're not going to need it anymore. Yeah, the cars, what's going to happen to that? I wonder if it's going to be sort of grafted in to a new one-world economy that will infuse an instant prosperity of sorts, see. I always like to say, I don't want to be caught with too much equity down here. Again, because Jesus said, don't lay up for yourselves treasures down here, but lay them up in earth where the stock market can't, evaporate them. And thief cannot break in and steal them, and rust cannot destroy them. And moth cannot eat them. I mean, that's where it's safe. In other words, have a heavenly investment portfolio, because where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Why are men's hearts failing them for fear? Because their heart is where their treasure is. Where is their treasure? Here on earth. I might be getting ahead of myself here a little bit, but I want to talk about this just for a moment. Many of you are by now looking at your clock saying, and we're going to get into the book of Acts. Yeah, from about 11 to, we'll call it second service. Hey, nah. Listen. The Antichrist will control this new one world economy, and the way he's going to do it is technically and technologically with a mark in the forehand or in the forehead. And we're told, as we'll see in a moment here, that unless someone has this mark in their forehead or forehand, they cannot even be involved in the economy. They can't buy and sell. They can't trade on the stock market. They have to have this mark. It's found in Revelation, the 13th chapter, verses 16 through 18. John the Revelator says he, speaking of the Antichrist, also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark in, some of your translations say in, some say on, his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. This calls for wisdom. If anyone has insight, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is man's number. His number is 666, or 600, 666. So some have thought that the forehand and forehead will have a mark that will enable people to do everything electronically, cashless, online. And even now the technology exists, as we'll see here in a moment, to read a implanted microchip in your hand by your mouse, vis-a-vis your mouse. Now, if you have prosthetics, then you'll have it in your forehead. You can't really have a prosthetic head. So they're going to, sorry. That was kind of bad. But, well, you can't, right? Could you imagine? Okay. So here's this implanted microchip in your forehead. So like right on this laptop, I have a webcam recording my every move right now. And it can actually read, and see me and get the information from there. And you don't have to log in. Again, I'm sort of getting ahead of myself, but the technology is already in place. Some have speculated that the www, the World Wide Web, is the Hebrew equivalent of 666. Which, how else is the Antichrist going to control the world absent the World Wide Web, right? How many of you do everything online? I pay all my bills online. I buy a lot of, except for when the shipping to Hawaii costs more than the product itself. Don't get me started. Lucky you live Hawaii. And I just, I won't buy it. I'll buy it locally. But, sometimes it's a better deal to get it, online. And so you buy and sell online. You won't need to worry about logging in or have all these passwords. It'll all be right there. And again, the technology is not only already in place, it's got the approval of the the Food and Drug Administration, otherwise known as the FDA. In fact, you could even now, if you wanted, voluntarily, get a chip implanted in your forearm or forehand through a company in the state of Florida, if you're interested. The company is VeRiChip, RF radio frequency identification for people. Again, October of 2004, this was approved by the FDA. Here's a picture of it for a size comparison next to a penny. Here it is next to a grain of rice. Now, what they do is just local anesthesia. They take a needle, a special needle, put the chip, and insert it. It takes 15 minutes. That's it. And they found that because of the warmth of the body, the best place is in the forehand, as pictured here. Now, I'm going to show you an actual implant in someone's forehand. You ready? This is one Amal Grafstra, who had a chip implanted in his hand that allows him to log into his computer without a password. And he's in Canada. He's not the only one. He's not alone. It's already happening. Well, you say, are people actually having this chip implanted? You'd be surprised. The fact of the matter is, yes. And then some in spades. Why? Why? If that's true, and it is, why would people of their own volition want this chip implanted in their forehand? Missing people during natural disasters. In fact, VeRiChip was instrumental during Hurricane Katrina for that reason. Track military troops in war zones. Track high security personnel in sensitive areas. It replaces the bar-coded wristband on parents and newborns in the hospital. It tracks young children if abducted. It replaces cash with electronic fund transfers. It replaces credit cards for theft protection. And it secures personal identification records, preventing ID. And is ID theft a problem, or is ID theft a problem? You get a chip in here, you take care of the ID theft problem. What are they going to do? Cut your hand off? Here, run it through the, here, use this to pay for it. Little suspect, you think? So again, this is what most believe will be the Antichrist's solution to the growing, unprecedented global economic problem. And again, if you really think about it, doesn't this need to happen? Doesn't the dollar, the yen, even the euro have to tank so that there would even be a willingness to consider a coming together collectively and globally with a one world economy? See, and when you bring the world's economies together, you by default bring the world's governments together. And then when you've got the world's governments together and you've got the world's economy together, because religion, in especially Islam, is so much a part of the culture,